Have you ever wondered how often we miss the signals of divine intervention in our lives? Imagine for a moment the hustle and bustle of your daily life, the ticking clock, the endless to-do lists, the constant chatter of the world around us. In this whirlwind of activity, it's all too easy to overlook the quiet, subtle signs that God is reaching out to us. But what if we told you that divine intervention isn't always a thunderous roar or a dramatic event? What if it's a soft whisper, a gentle nudge, a persistent knock at the door of your heart? Would you be able to hear it, to feel it, to recognize it? In the midst of our jam-packed schedules and noisy lives, we often miss these signals. We're too caught up in our routines, too entangled in our worries, too focused on our plans to notice the unopened door. Today, we're going to explore a story that illustrates this theme in a powerful way. Imagine a knock at your door that you keep ignoring, assuming it's just a pesky salesman or a neighbor. Picture this: a man, let's call him John, is living in a cozy little house in a peaceful town. One day, he starts hearing a soft, persistent knock at his door. At first, he doesn't pay much attention to it, brushing it off as just the wind or maybe a bird. The knock, however, remains consistent, gentle but unrelenting, like the steady rhythm of a heart. John grows curious, yet a bit annoyed. He checks through the peephole, but there's no one there. It must be some pesky kids playing tricks, he thinks. So he decides to ignore it, going about his day trying to drown out the sound with the noise of his daily chores. However, the knock doesn't cease. It continues day after day, always at the same time. It's a soft, rhythmic knock, like a quiet whisper that you can't quite tune out. It's not loud enough to be disruptive, but just persistent enough to be noticeable. But instead of finding out who's behind the knock, John chooses to ignore it. He assumes it's unimportant, perhaps just a neighbor or a salesman that will eventually give up and move on. As days turn into weeks, John's curiosity evolves into apprehension. The knock becomes an enigma, a mystery that he can't quite solve. But still, he chooses to ignore it, to shut it out, hoping that it will eventually stop, that the source of the knock will finally get tired and leave him be. However, the knock is too persistent, too consistent to be just a mere coincidence. It's like an unanswered call, a letter left unread, a message waiting to be deciphered. Yet, John continues to ignore it, dismissing it as a nuisance rather than a sign. Little did he know, the knock that he kept ignoring was not what he assumed it to be. One day, driven by curiosity, the man finally decides to open the door. He reaches out, turns the knob, and pulls it open, but to his surprise, there is no one there. The man stands there, puzzled, wondering who could have knocked so persistently, and then vanished. As he contemplates, he experiences an epiphany. That incessant knock, it wasn't at his wooden door, it was a spiritual one. It was the Lord knocking on the door of his heart, seeking permission to enter his life. The man realizes that God had been there all along, gently knocking, patiently waiting. This realization brings a profound change in his perspective. It's a reminder of how important it is to be receptive to God's signals, to listen to his voice amidst the chaos and noise of life. We must be open to his presence, for he is always there, patiently knocking. The knock was not at his physical door, but at the door of his heart. God knocks at our hearts, waiting patiently for us to let him in. Imagine a knock at your door. You may not know who stands on the other side, but the sound is clear and persistent. This is how God approaches us. He doesn't barge in, he doesn't force his way into our lives. Instead, he knocks, gently yet persistently, waiting for us to open the door to our hearts. Opening our hearts to God is more than just acknowledging his existence. It's about inviting him into our lives, into our decisions, our struggles, our joys, and our sorrows. It's about being open to his guidance, his love, and his grace. Opening your heart to God means letting go of fear, doubt, and pride. It means being vulnerable, being honest, and being ready to change. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. So are you ready to open your door? Remember, the Lord is always knocking. It's our choice and our joy to open the door. Let's take a moment each day to listen, to open our hearts to his presence. His love is a gift, waiting to be embraced. We invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's grow together in faith and understanding. Please subscribe to our channel to explore more about faith and spirituality. Thank you for watching, and may God's peace be with you.